Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Alex Vollmer, Daniel Palmer, and me talking about Fiesta and the laws that somehow touch or affect Fiesta. And we have a caller. David, you're live on the air. How are you?
Hi. Good morning. Thanks very much for taking my call.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. It's not about Fiesta.
Okay, go ahead.
Could you give, first of all, what interested you and the other gentleman there about getting into law? And could you give some tips to somebody about passing the LSAT?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I got into law because I couldn't pass calculus.
All lawyers are lawyers in part because they're not great at math, except patent attorneys.
But I started taking government classes and political science, and I found it so interesting, especially political theory, on if you were with people and you didn't have an organized society, how should you organize it? And so that's what got me interested in the law. How about you guys?
So kind of in a similar way, I started out in political science with the idea that I was going to work in politics. And when I was an undergrad at UT up in Austin, I worked with a lot of politicians. I worked on several campaigns. I loved it. But even though I loved the work, I found myself getting more drawn to the actual law portion of politicking. And I also realized that as fun as working on campaigns is, not sustainable for a long time. Mm-hmm. Hours are crazy. It can be very
Especially
stressful.
Family. I remember you saying that.
Absolutely. And so that kind of led me into being interested in law and taking the LSAT, and here we are now.
Yeah. How about you, Alex?
I'm kind of an analytical person, and I like the puzzle. I like taking a Gordian knot, untangling it, and laying it out, and figuring out the components and how things fit together and how to rearrange them. I mean, my first couple of weeks into law school, I just thought I made the right choice.
That's great.
Yeah. And then as far as passing the LSAT, you don't really pass the LSAT, but take a prep course and study. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Take a prep course and study.
That's a tip, David, is that you do need to take a prep course.
It's a game.
And prepare for it, because the types of questions, at least when I took it, were questions I'd never had on any other test.
It's a game. It is a game to see what kind of pattern of the questions they like to ask. You play the game with the question askers. You'll notice they have a style.
And it's designed to see if you know how to think.
I think the LSAT is stupid, but it's still required.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that didn't get great LSAT scores that are fantastic attorneys.
Right.
And I think, for me, I definitely saw a turning point in my scores when I started really focusing on timed tests, just retaking those and making sure that I timed it was so important because working within those time constraints is part of the difficulty of the LSAT, large part of it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be worrying about it.
Yeah. David, thank you for the call. Where are you calling from?
San Antonio.
Okay. Well, thank you for...
I have one other question, if I could.
Sure, go ahead.
The two gentlemen there, I think they said they graduated from St. Mary.
Yeah.
Does it still have why does it have the reputation of not doing well in graduating or passing?
Well, there was an experiment before we got there where one of the deans didn't require an LSAT score in order to get admitted. That's the short history on that. I don't want to say anything else about it.
That's a can of worms.
But it's a good school, and we do well as attorneys, and we do good work for our clients. So the getting in is the first part. So We got to talk more about Fiesta, but thank you for calling. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, thanks for all the information.
Take care.
Have a good weekend. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, and if anybody else wants to call in to tell us your favorite event at Fiesta, we'd love to hear about it. You can call the radio station right now at 210-308-8867, or you can text Todd at 210-538-4770, 210-538-4770. What are some other kid-friendly events that people could take their family to?
Yeah, I've always thought, and this is kind of the way that my wife and I have done it with our son, is that kids can go to almost any event as long as you make the proper preparations beforehand. There's a really cool event. The name is escaping me. It's over in the Deco district, in the Art Deco district. It might be called Deco Fest or Deco Fiesta that we go to every year. It has a bunch of bands playing. There's a bunch of vendors that have food and art and stuff like that. Between that and the parades and even things like Oyster Bake, which do get crowded.
I wanted to mention Oyster Bake since that's at St. Mary's.
I can't make myself go. It's just associated with a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Because it happens right during finals.
Oh, yeah. I remember that too. And I don't think that we took the kids, but I remember I bumped into somebody that was much larger than me on my way out, and I was glad to have been leaving at that time, because some of those events can get a little rowdy.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say is, especially for kid-centric things, daylight hours are probably your best bet. But hey, I've seen plenty of daylight shenanigans during Fiesta, but
not as many.
Not as many,
No. I would say, it's funny. I had a friend actually ask me a couple weeks ago what I thought was the most controversial Fiesta event in terms of people's opinions on it, if they love it or hate it. And I would definitely say Oyster Bake. I mean,
I'll agree with that.
You can go ask one person, they'll tell you it's their favorite event, and ask the next person, they'll tell you it's the only event that they won't go to.
Well, when I went, there was several bands, on different areas of campus. And then there were all these booths selling oysters.
I love Oyster Bake. I go
you
almost
eat the
every
oysters?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't eat meat, but
you like the music.
I
Probably.
love the music, and there's lots of good food there. And they have a really wide variety of music, which is cool. I mean, you can go to one stage and see, conjunto. You can go to another one and see country. You could see jazz at another one, and all within a few steps of each other.
My issue isn't with Oyster Bake; it's with the associated memories of final exams.
Yeah. And I guess it's, for people that don't know, it is right on St. Mary's campus. You have to walk past the law school basically to get to it.
And you have to fight with all the people showing up, like, to get to class.
Yeah.
You have to fight through them, like, in the parking lot. So.
Yeah. What are some other events that we should talk about?
Well, there's obviously like the Battle of Flowers parade.
Where is that?
That goes right down Broadway on the Friday after the River Parade. That is the Fiesta. That's what started Fiesta, so it's the Battle of Flowers. So that's kind of...
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because something else I would ask people when I first got here is, what is Battle of the Flowers? Is this where flowers are in...
1896 or something like that, when the Daughters of the Republic of Texas literally went out into the streets and started having a mock battle with flowers to commemorate the Alamo.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it started. That's how the whole thing started.
Just throwing flowers.
Literally, yes.
Interesting. All right. So we got Battle of Flowers. We got Niosa. We got the Deco District. Got some events for kids.
Yeah.
What else is there?
I mean, there's the coronation.
I
don't know if you can get tickets to it now, though.
Yeah, there's the coronation, and then there's probably my favorite event, which is Corneation, which is
fun.
Not for everybody.
In Helotes?
No.
That's the Corny Vol.
That's Corny Vol. No, Corneation is it's an event done downtown, and I have several good friends of mine that are involved in it.
Have an open mind.
Yeah, it's basically a satire of local politicians, of statewide politicians, of basically anyone who's in office. And they'll talk about like local San Antonio events, and it's a big production, almost like skits, kind of like SNL, something like that.
It's kind of hard to get tickets.
It can be, yeah, but it's very fun, and it benefits a few different organizations. I know they're heavily involved with San Antonio AIDS Foundation, but it's a great event. Like I said, I have close friends that are involved in it, and they have a their king every year. Instead of King Antonio, it's King Anchovy, and it's some local celebrity that will be King Anchovy that year. I know that.
Had to be Spurs Jesus at one time.
I think there might have been. I know that Charlie Gonzalez, the politician, was there one year, and there have been a bunch of people, restaurateurs, stuff like that.
Well, you may have heard Lexi barking at Mark just a minute ago because he made a noise. There's an event for dogs, but we got to take a break, so we'll talk about that after the break. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.